Just recently, the University of Pacific Center for Business and Policy Research estimated that our mega region has one of the lowest human capital rankings in the state, with neighboring regions like Greater Sacramento area had the 5th highest human capital index, and the Bay Area was ranked number 1. Stockton, we ranked 14th out of 15. So again, out of 15 mega regions in the state, Stockton was 14 out of 15, which is troubling enough. It becomes even more troubling when the Bay Area to our north, or not to our north, you know where the Bay Area is. The Bay Area, the Bay Area is number 1, and Sacramento to our north is number 5. In the labor market study, we heard that 62% of the occupations that are forecast to add the most employment in our region are those most likely to have wages near or below the level of a living wage. And we should not have to choose between the present and the future. While those jobs provide entry-level opportunities, we have to diversify our economy and bring new, better-paying jobs to our region. Merely maintaining the status quo is not an option. We must lead again with our investments in people. In Stockton, you guys have already been working to create career options for residents. The work of the San Joaquin Health Partnership has been important to surface opportunities in healthcare. With that foundation, I'm excited to announce a new company called Counsel is working with us to create a business process services center in Stockton that will provide operations and administrative services to health systems and health insurers. Counsel is a unique venture that will team up with our local colleges like Delta to create new certificate and for credit pathways into healthcare-related fields. And the exciting thing is this work does not happen in isolation. In the fall of 2017, my office, along with UOP and Valley Vision, convened 20 leaders from across the spectrum of education and workforce leadership to discuss the challenges and opportunities to equip our workforce for the future. Specifically, we have made commitments as organizations to join the Skills Task Force with a charge to learn from and experiment with best practices that have proven successful in other cities in this country. All of this is in service to putting Stockton on a transformative economic trajectory. I believe one significant opportunity for our city is to capitalize and upgrade on our existing infrastructure to pave the way for green economy jobs. San Joaquin RTD's leadership has challenged and pushed the limitations on what's possible. With CalStart's new office in Stockton, the sky is no longer the limit. With their support, we're excited to explore clean, efficient transportation across all modes: land, sea, air, and as we saw earlier, rail. We are also linking Stockton's story with the national narrative on economic opportunity and innovation-based growth. Furthermore, recently the council has hired a consultant to help us think through the right policies and procedures needed to capitalize on the cannabis industry. It is my vision in Stockton not to have a dispensary on every corner, but with our assets to serve as a hub for testing, for manufacturing, and distribution of this industry, which will bring jobs and revenue to our community. In February of this year, CityLab visited Stockton to better understand our community and provide an assessment and a set of recommendations on the ways that Stockton could grow an innovation economy and take advantage of entrepreneurship. One thing is clear: we have incredible assets from our downtown to our port, in our geography, our proximity to the Bay Area and Sacramento. So rather than losing residents across the Altamont every day, how do we begin the serious and difficult work of building an ecosystem that supports them right here at home? For further insights, this summer my office will be releasing the report in coordination with the community interested in taking action on this. I truly believe that Stockton could be a place where the future is built first. We talk about manufacturing, we talk about logistics, there's all type of innovations happening in those sectors. And why can't Stockton be the place where they test, try, prototype, and build ideas? And over the past several months, we've heard interest. So I hope to report over the next several State of the City addresses, new companies coming in who are helping lead and usher Stockton into the future. One place that's embracing the future is our downtown. Trail Coffee has recently opened their new doors downtown. Next week, the Medical Artist Lofts by DFA Development officially breaks down in one of our city's most iconic buildings, the Medical Dental Tower. We have my friends from Cast Iron, where I get my kombucha every other day. It's a little bit expensive, but it's great. And we have entrepreneurs like my friends from China Brew, who are showing that you can invest in Stockton, you can be in Stockton, and that Stockton is a great place to do business, even in and especially in our downtown. So thank you both for joining me and for your leadership and spurring entrepreneurship in our city. This year, we've also done 3 million of square feet in industrial space near our airport. We've launched Kiva.org to help small businesses and entrepreneurs. But we have to also ensure that all this economic growth and development is evenly shared. The diversity of our workforce and our contracting should be reflective of the diversity of our city. According to the most recently available census data, minorities own 63% of businesses in Stockton, yet only account for 20% of gross business revenues in the city. Similarly, women-owned businesses comprise 40.7% of Stockton businesses, yet account for only 12% of business revenues. How can we now meet these businesses where they are and help ensure their best chances for success, whether they're working from their homes, from office spaces, or in the downtown? Finally, on the economic front, we're also going to take advantages of policies at the national level. Recently, the government has released a program called the Opportunity Zone Program, and we're working diligently to ensure that Stockton is first in line. So to that end, next month, I'm speaking at the Forbes 400 Philanthropy and Entrepreneurship Summit to make the case for Stockton to be the test case city, for why the Opportunity Zone Program could work in a community that doesn't just have opportunity, but has residents and entrepreneurs willing and able to roll up their sleeves. And while we spend a lot of time thinking about how do we position Stockton's economy for the future, there's many residents who are struggling with the economy in the here and now. As I'm speaking, I'm reminded of Louisa, a member of our community I recently met with. She's a school crossing guard and playground monitor working at one of our schools. She is a mother, and like many in our community, she is struggling to make ends meet. When asked what she would do with an additional $500 a month, she said it would put a little relief on stress. Louisa doesn't take the simple things for granted. Making minimum wage, she says she can't remember the last times she took her kids to the movies. And today, our community is filled with folks like Louisa who are working harder and harder, only to fall further and further behind as rents and cost of living continues to rise while wages remain stagnant. Furthermore, because 52% of jobs in our community are minimum wage jobs, the median income for a household in our community is well below the state and national average, and is $46,000. These statistics and the amount of effort people in this community work make me unapologetic about the need to be bold about finding solutions to these issues. To that end, last year we launched the Stockton Economic Empowerment Demonstration, the nation's first Monroe-led guaranteed income demonstration that will give a select number of Stockton families $500 a month starting next year. And I've been talking to luminaries like Sarah Palin and Chuck Woolery on Twitter. You guys know Chuck Woolery, right? The Love Connection guy? He tweeted me, and we had a conversation about this program. And he had concerns that I'm sure many of you have shared. His first concern was it's a waste of taxpayer dollars. Well, like everything else, this program is philanthropically funded thanks to the Economic Security Project and the Goldage Foundation, who are providing $1.5 million for this effort. His second concern was that it rewards laziness and sloth. And I told him, well, actually, 60% of poor people work. The issue is that people are working hard and they can't pay for bills. The third thing he said was, why would you try this in a bankrupt city? And I gently reminded him that actually, we were bankrupt, but now we're like the second fiscally most healthy city in the state. And the idea behind this is not a new one. It's as old as the Republic itself. Thomas Paine wrote about this in the Agrarian Revolution. Dr. King, who we just celebrated not too long ago, called for this before he was assassinated. And I'm excited and I'm proud to launch this demonstration in Stockton for a couple of reasons. But the first and more important one is this. For once, the eyes of the nation are on Stockton, not to see the bad, not to see the crime, but to see the resourcefulness, the resilience, the tenacity, and the creativity of folks in our community. I've sat in focus group with mothers who have told me that $500 enough will be enough for them to enter back into the workforce or to pay for childcare. I've sat with students who told me that $500 a month will allow them to go to school full time and finish the degree in a more timely manner. I've heard from members of my own family about how $500 a month would help them save for a rainy day, because in this country, in this state, and in this city, 1 in 2 Americans, Californians, and Stocktonians can't afford one $500 emergency. So to that end, we've recruited a new director for this program, Lori Espina. We have a national research team helping to do the research, and we hope to begin disbursements of the $500 a month to Stockton residents, not your money, philanthropic money, starting early next year. And while we launch the program next year for 100 families, we still have to deal with the challenge and realities that many of our individuals in Stockton face, and that's of the cost of housing. It's amazing how we could go from the foreclosure capital of the world 6 years ago to now it's very hard to find anything vacant. To make matters worse, people commuting to the Bay Area has caused prices to rise up. And in last year, from our 211 county management system, the top 10 requests were all housing related. They were for rent assistance and down payment assistance and for getting rid of evictions and for finding affordable housing. Of all the things people called for last year to our 211 system, every single one of the top 10 was about how do I get a roof over my head? How do I afford housing? In fact, Rent Cafe listed Stockton as the city with the fastest rising rent for April 2017 and May 2017, which has fueled a growing housing burden for Stockton. I just found out this week that for almost half of our city would be considered rent poor or excessively housing cost burden because they spend more than 30% of their paychecks every month on rent. And this epidemic of sorts has caused us to create a task force on workforce and affordable housing. Working with industry stakeholders and with the support of McKinsey Global Institute, we're going to be looking at addressing the causes of the housing shortage, and will recommend policies to encourage the sustainable development of housing that is accessible for our residents whom have a median household income, again, of $46,000. And while we wait for the task force to do its job, we're still working. This last fiscal year, we allocated $7.6 million in federal funds toward affordable housing programs and projects, emergency housing in our shelters. This included $1.6 million in federal and low-income housing funds to fund affordable housing projects, including one for permanent housing for the homeless. We even took a great program that reduced barriers to housing development in downtown and extended it citywide for affordable housing projects. And of course, we worked with the providers of existing voucher programs like the Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing Program and the Housing Choice Voucher Program to develop a housing mitigation fund that will give landlords peace of mind and encourage them to accept vouchers and rent to veterans and families on the verge of homelessness. Over the course of 2017, your mayor, your council held a joint city-county meeting on homelessness, adopted Housing First principles, and developed many initiatives to address homelessness. We allocated $100,000 to homeless cleanup efforts. In January of this year, Supervisor Miller, myself, and HUD Administrator Jimmy Strackner announced a $4.4 million award to Stockton and San Joaquin County to pay for permanent supportive housing, to pay for rapid rehousing, to pay for housing for foster youth, to pay for a database to coordinate homeless efforts, and $129,000 to pay for a newly created homelessness administrator position. or as I love to call it, the homelessness czar position. And that's not it. In February, the council approved loans for affordable housing activities, including $300,000 to STEM and the Housing Authority to fund permanent supportive housing for the homeless, as well as general fund dollars to help the homeless program administrator. So I'm so excited, Adam, if you're here, for your work and leadership, your mayor, your council. We look forward to working with you in the county to really creating a strategy about how do we eliminate veteran chronic homelessness in our community and how to reduce the number of chronically homeless individuals of the city. It won't be easy. It'll take a lot of work. It'll take a lot of effort, but given the calls, letters, emails, texts, Facebooks, Instagrams, Twitters I receive from folks about the homelessness issue, I'm sure, Adam, our community is ready to rise to the challenge. But California is in the midst of a housing crisis, so it's not going to be enough just to wait for Adam and the county and the city to coordinate around any chronic homelessness. So to that end, over the next several months, this council will have to debate several proposals. This council will have to look at the Stockton Economic Stimulus Plan and figure out whether and when we'll extend it and what enhancements need to be made, whether it's with raising necessary permit caps or extending the sunset to signal to the market that we want folks to build. This council may have to look at and debate a just cause eviction ordinance to secure the rights of tenants who are doing all they can to stay housed. And this council may also have to debate and figure out how do we create a housing trust fund to help affordable and workforce housing pencil out. Furthermore, this summer, this council will vote on a general plan that promises to be progressive, infield focused, and about growing Stockton the right way for our future.